everyone, and welcome back to the Windham Voyager. My name is Natalie Jendrasco, and I am the host and communications director for the Windham School District. This podcast invites the public in to hear directly from our leading experts in different areas of public education. I also want to mention that this podcast is created in collaboration with our own digital media teacher, Mr. Adams. He will be in charge of recording and editing the podcast. Thanks, Mr. Adams. Today we're going to be learning a little bit about our paraprofessionals, how they help our students and teachers, and why they are such a vital component to the Windham School District. With me for the discussion is the Executive Director of Student Services, Ken Duesing, and the Director of Human Resources, Kate Hennigar. Thank you both for joining us. So I think that for people who don't know what paraprofessionals are or what they do, I think the best place for us to start is kind of talking through the difference between what a paraprofessional does and then what a teacher does.
A teacher obviously is teaching the classroom, leading the instruction for the classroom for all the students. The paraprofessional assists the teacher in helping the students learn the curriculum. So the paraprofessional might be, the teacher might direct them to work with this student or these groups of students to help not reteach but access the curriculum. And so then they're working with children when they have problems, they need help, and sometimes it's an academic question that they don't understand, and sometimes it's more social or behavioral that they need someone to help them get focused to be able to learn and engage with the teacher.
I think, too, the thing that, when I walk into classrooms and I know that there is a teacher and a paraprofessional there, I think the good thing that I always notice, too, is that paraprofessional is all over the classroom. There may be students that need the extra help that we know as a group collectively those students need extra help, but I've been in many classrooms where that paraprofessional is with every student, and I think that's an important thing to know about paraprofessionals is that they're not just working with potentially identified students, which is an IEP or a 504, but they're working with all students to kind of help the teacher through the curriculum, right?
Right. Each of the paraprofessionals is assigned to a specific student or students, but that doesn't mean they can't help other students when they see a need. Just like a teacher would float around the classroom when they say, oh, this person looks like they need help and this person doesn't. Paraprofessional would do the same. Obviously, the assigned students are the priority for that person. Right. And that is their focus. But there are times when that student is doing well and doesn't need assistance, and that paraprofessional can then go help other students in the classroom and provide them similar assistance or with whatever they need.
Exactly. So let's kind of piggyback off that a little bit. In a typical day, what is a paraprofessional's responsibilities?
Helping with the academic needs. Some students might need assistance with reading or organizing their work, and if it's too cluttered, they can't focus on it. So the paraprofessional might help them again organize it, make things larger on the page, not have as many items. They help students in terms of keeping their attention to task with whether a student might have attentional issues, be distracted, might have behavioral issues. They help do that. So really it's that paraprofessional is helping students across the curriculum. They're helping math, reading, they help at recess, they help at lunch during these social less structured times where they help kids learn to sit at a table with each other and how to have conversations with each other. Compare that to the high school. There are some paraprofessionals who are assigned to a group of students or a student, and they follow that student around through their high school schedule. So they're in different classes, just like in elementary school, different subjects. But there are also paraprofessionals who might have a particular skill in, say, math. So they're in math classes all day long, and a number of students cycle through those math classes, and because they have that strength, they can really help students with that curriculum and learning,
so they're
particularly
staying in that
math.
Class as opposed
so
to
they're staying in a math class. We have multiple math teachers at the high school, so they might move around to different teachers, but they might be in 3 or 4 different math classes
Right.
during the day instead of following one particular child
That makes
throughout the
sense.
day.
Got it. Okay. And are they also working with the parents, or does that go through the teacher? So does the paraprofessional contact the teacher to give kind of like a progress update, or are they directly talking to the parent as well?
No, usually we have teachers talk directly with parents, and whether it's the classroom teacher or the special education teacher.
Okay.
Paraprofessionals typically don't. And that's really just because the teaching staff will have a broader picture, generally speaking, of the student than the paraprofessional. The
Right.
paraprofessional is really directed to work on these specific tasks.
Yep.
And so if, let's just take math and reading as an example, if a student does really well in reading but struggles in math, the paraprofessional is focused on the math.
Right.
Where the teacher can talk about the reading and
Right.
the math
The
and
holistic
everything
picture.
else. So,
Yep.
so typically that's how we do with communication. Some students have communication logs that go home that the paraprofessional will type in and write in, and certainly there's communication that way.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of like problem solving, planning for the next IEP, that communication is really among teachers and parents.
Right, so when you're doing like a parent-teacher conference, you're still doing it with that lead teacher.
Correct.
That's certified in that grade or subject area.
Right.
Got
Yes.
it. I think the next question really you both could answer in your own way, but I mean nationally, especially here in New Hampshire, we've seen a lot of shortages with just teaching general ed. Are you guys seeing that same sort of challenge with hiring and retaining paraprofessionals as well, and can you attribute it to anything?
So I can jump in. This year, for sure, I think every year we have challenges with open positions within the paraprofessional field. And this year, with some late resignations, we kind of came out of the gate a little bit behind. Mm-hmm. And so really had a focused effort at each of the schools to build up those paraprofessional ranks. As we entered into negotiations with Ask Me, the overarching goals were really those two things, Natalie, right? Retention and recruitment.
Right.
We want to make sure that we're keeping the people that we have because we feel that they do an amazing job with our students and that they contribute fantastically to the school. And so felt really positive about the outcomes that we were able to achieve through negotiations. And we continue. I would say that other districts probably have more open positions than we do, but currently we have roughly 5 open positions, and then we have engaged with contracted services to help us, and our goal would be obviously to backfill those contracted services folks as we identify individuals. As we plan for next year, we're probably going to do a couple of job fairs.
Yep.
And really would love for the community to come out and let us know if they're interested. What I have found in speaking with paraprofessionals and going through negotiations and trying to find that magic sauce, right? Like what's going to get them and what's going to keep them. It's very similar to working in healthcare, right? It's a very mission-driven organization, which is what attracted me to the district.
Right.
People come in because they're altruistically wanting to help our kids. And so I think if you're a person who wants to make a difference in someone's life, contribute, feel really good about yourself at the end of the day, paraprofessionals, teaching, nutritional services, custodians, there's not one role within the school district that doesn't go to contributing to our students' success, right?
Yeah.
There's a quote that John F. Kennedy went into NASA and he met a custodian and he said, "What do you do here?" And the custodian responded, "I send rockets to space," right?
Yeah.
So it's that mantra of we're here for the kids and what are we going to do?
You know, someone is listening to this now and may be interested in how they can help, how they can get involved, and paraprofessional may be that sort of bridge to get them there. Can you kind of talk through, because maybe there might be confusion on what the difference is between like a certified teacher versus what qualifications you need as a paraprofessional. So can you talk through that?
With teaching, you have to hold a certification. In the lower grades, it's generally an open certificate like K through 8 or K through 6. Paraprofessionals can be certified, so there are 2 certifications through the Department of Ed. One is the Paraprofessional 1, one is the Paraprofessional 2.
So for certification, teachers have to go get a 4-year collegiate degree, get certified through the Department of Ed. Paraprofessionals don't need that, as to just be a high school graduate, but you have the opportunity to be certified through the Department of Ed too.
Right.
And there's benefits to doing that, of course. But some of our most outstanding paraprofessionals in the district don't have certification, so it's really not necessary. And I think there's a lot of joy in being a paraprofessional, to see where, when I started working with the child, they were at point A, and 5 months later they're at point B, and at the end of the school year they're at point C. I think people can get a lot of personal satisfaction out of that.
Absolutely.
I know I have as a teacher.
Right.
And it's hard work, very hard work. There's a lot of frustration along with that joy, but I think when you take the long picture and you see what impact you've had on the student and how they change and have grown, I think that brings a whole lot of satisfaction to people in this position.
I think that's really good to point out too, right? Because for me, when I first came into education, I actually didn't realize that a teacher held a different certification than a paraprofessional, because they're so interwoven into everything that we kind of do. I guess assumed that they needed all these crazy kind of certifications and things, what makes it a little more difficult to kind of get you up and running, right? But to your point, if you're interested in getting a part of the community, you have that desire to help, you have that desire to, or you're just natural at teaching, right? You're a natural teacher without having to go through the process. This might be a great opportunity for you to kind of get into that.
And we have a number of paraprofessionals who are now teachers.
Right.
I started my career as a paraprofessional and then became a teacher. And so I think, there are, again, people have really good skill sets. And I think we're good about recognizing and encouraging people in that. I know last year I had a teacher tell me, this paraprofessional should become a teacher because she's really good at what she does. And I shared that with the person, and I hope she does become a teacher someday, because she is really good, has a really
and that's
really
such an
good
encouraging thing to say, right? Because as Kate mentioned, it has been a tough year to hire and stuff like that, but we still find it in our own culture to say, like, I don't want this person to leave, but I want them to further their own opportunities, and I think this would be a great opportunity. So that's great that we have that here, that kind of culture here.
And I think we're looking at programs, so as schools are dealing with the shortages, right? Like similar to the nursing tsunami. What are those things that you're going to do to be creative in hiring? And what we're finding is that there are specific programs in place for a paraprofessional to get certified as a teacher, as a career ladder. So we are definitely looking at exploring those options.
So this last question is for the both of you. As we close out this podcast, and while you have a captive audience here, what is one thing you'd like everyone to know about paraprofessionals?
I think for me, Windham is such a great community, right? I was very fortunate. My children went through the school program, and being in HR when the position was posted. My youngest was graduating, and I felt like I could come in and be a neutral person and not have any kind of skin in the game, and so it was the right time. And what I have found is that the people are lovely, dedication unbelievably, such an incredibly strong academic program, and I would want everybody in the community to feel comfortable that we hire and maintain the highest level of professionals, and the paraprofessionals definitely are part of that. And I encourage anybody who's of interest in learning more to reach out to me, HR Director at windhamsd.org. We're happy to have information and have the special education directors have conversations. And we're looking forward to starting next year fully staffed.
Yay!
Hopefully so. And then I would say that any of us who got into education do so because on some level we love working with kids. And I think that's true for paraprofessionals too. And it's a great opportunity to find your niche and from preschool up through high school, what works for you. And I often tell people that our goal is to help kids become more independent.
Right.
And whether that's a 3-year-old in preschool or an 18-year-old senior, our job is to help them become more independent and become independent adults. And paraprofessionals are such a key part of that in schools, that they can help kids in many ways that teachers don't, because teachers have a classroom of kids. Paraprofessionals are working with 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 kids, and they can establish a different type of bond than a teacher does. And so again, I think there's a lot of joy in that, and there's a lot of feelings of achievement in that, and that you see success in that, and I think that's a great thing.
Absolutely. We hope you enjoyed today's topic. We want your feedback. If you have any questions or are interested in different topics we discuss here on the Windham Voyager podcast, please email me at podcast@windhamsd.org. Thanks again for taking this voyage with me. For the Windham Voyager, my name is Natalie Gendrasco, and we will see you next time.